Hello everyone, welcome back you all to your science class, and in today's class I am going to start chapter 5, plant reproduction. So today we'll discuss about reproduction in plants. First of all, what does reproduction mean? You all know that all living beings have a limited lifespan and they die sooner or later. So they all produce young ones like themselves during their lifetime. This is reproduction. So reproduction is the process by which a living organism or a living thing produces its own kind. Means reproduction is the process by which any living organism produces their babies. This is called reproduction. So plants also reproduce so that their species may not die out. Okay, there are two ways of reproduction, means plants reproduce in two ways. First is sexual reproduction and second is vegetative reproduction. In today's class, we will discuss only about plant sexual reproduction. Reproduction in plants take place sexually and asexually as well. But you know children, majority of the flowering plant reproduce sexually. You all know that reproductive organ of flowering plants are the flower, and these flowers changes into fruits and seeds, means flower only converts into fruit and forms seeds. So sexual reproduction in plants take place in flower. So let's revise the parts of flower which you have studied in the previous chapter. You all have read that flower has four parts: sepal, petal, stamen and pistil, and these four parts are arranged on a flower in four rows. So outermost roll is calyx, that is made up of sepals, that green colored part. Second roll is corolla, that is made up of colored petals. Third roll is androecium, which is made up of stamen. This part is only called male reproductive part of flower, as the stamen have two parts, anther and filament, and inside the anther only pollen grains are produced, which is called male sex cells. Okay, same as the fourth or innermost part of flower is pistil, which makes the role gynoecium. Pistil is called as female reproductive part. Pistil have three parts: stigma, style and ovary, and inside the ovary only female sex cells, ovules, are present. So now children, you understood that in sexual reproduction flower is important. So flowers, this male reproductive part is stamen and female reproductive part pistil. These two parts take part in the sexual reproduction. The reproduction that takes place due to the fusion of pollen grains and the ovule is called sexual reproduction. And you all know pollen grains are produced in stamen of the flower and ovules are produced in pistil of the flower. So it means children, in sexual reproduction, plants male reproductive organ and female reproductive organ, these two take part, and the result of the sexual reproduction is that fruit and seeds are formed. So most of the plants reproduce through seeds, and these seeds grow into new plant. Example of plants that produce in this way are mango, papaya, rose, mustard, and many more plants are there which reproduce in this way, and these plants produces seeds, and these seeds when germinate they grow into a new plant. In plants, sexual reproduction completes in few steps. So the major steps in this kind of reproduction are pollination, fertilization, seed formation, dispersal of seeds and seed germination. Children, in today's class I'll discuss about pollination, fertilization and seed formation, and rest, dispersal of seed and seed germination, in next of the video we'll discuss. Okay. So let's start with pollination. You all know and you have read in previous chapter that pollination is the process in which pollen grains are transferred. You all know pollens are produced in anther and they have to reach to the stigma. So this transfer of pollen from anther to stigma is pollination. You can see in the picture that first flower is producing pollen, and that is carries by the pollinator honeybee, and it carries to the stigma. So simple, pollination is transfer of pollen grain from anther to stigma. Next step is fertilization. Just look at this small presentation carefully. First of all, you saw this pollen grain landed on stigma. It produces a tube which enters into the ovary where ovule is present. Okay, and now cell from the pollen grains fuses with the ovule cell. These two cells just fuses together and form zygote, which is the baby plant. And then after, all the ovules, as is showing in the picture, it converts into the seeds, and the ovary of the flower, it swells and converts into the fruit. For example, the diagram is showing that it was of tomato. Okay, fusion of sperm cell means pollen cell with the ovule is called fertilization. Let's understand clearly with this diagram. This diagram is showing process of fertilization. You see stigma. After pollination, many of the pollen grains just fall on the stigma. Then all those pollen grains produces pollen tube, and one of the pollen tube just increase in the length and passes from style and reaches to the ovary. And then sperm cell present in pollen grain fuses with the egg cell present in the ovule. So this process is called fertilization. Fertilization is the union or fusion of sperm cell with the ovule. And as the result, after fertilization, the sepal, petals and anther, all these parts of a flower fall off except female reproductive part, that is stigma, style and ovary. Then the ovary develops into the fruit and the ovule forms the seed. So means children, fruit is not any new part in the flower, it is only ripened or matured ovary. As the fertilization completes the ovary of the flower, it swells up and forms the fruit, and the ovules present in the fruit that changes into the seeds. Means whatever, if you are taking a mango fruit, you find that mango fruit means it is the ovary of the mango flower, and the seed present in that, it was the ovule of the flower. Okay. Now the seeds which are present in the fruits, that only contains the baby plant. Okay, so that when you just sow the seeds, the new plant comes out from the seed. So seeds have a protective coat, that is seed coat, and inside the seed coat, in seed, the baby plant is protected. So some fruits you find are fleshy and juicy, such as mango, apple and oranges, while some fruits you find are hard, like almond and walnuts. And these fruits store the seeds, and the seeds have baby plant inside it. And you know, these seeds contain stored food also for the baby plant. And when they germinate, the baby plant uses that food, and that germinate into the new plant. So children, it was all about pollination, fertilization and seed formation. In my next class, we will discuss in detail about seed dispersal, seed germination and the structure of seed. Okay, this is all for today. Thank you.